And we are live. Hey, I'm Matt, a live streaming YouTuber, and here we are at a place called The Peak in Hong Kong. Join Travel the World with Matt as I take you on the adventures of a lifetime, exploring the world, history, culture, nature, wildlife, all from the comfort of your own home. Everything the world has to offer. Live. I'm shaking right now. That was so amazing. Come and help me as I confront my greatest fears.
Here we go! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bungee!
How are you feeling?
I'm very nervous.
Can I tell you, my heart is like beating.
Yes, mine also same.
Holding on for dear life. So hit that subscribe button and keep exploring. And we're live. Welcome to Hong Kong, and we at the peak here with a beautiful view. Here. So my name is Matt, and I'm excited to show you the peak today. It's a stunning day today. The weather is perfect, and I'm really can't wait to show you around the peak. This is going to be amazing. It's one of Hong Kong's top tourist attractions. So without further ado, So the peak gets its name from that mountain over there. That's the tallest part of Hong Kong Island. It's called Mount Austin, and it's about 552 meters or 1,811 feet from sea level, and it's the tallest building here on Hong Kong Island, but only the 29th tallest in the whole territory of Hong Kong. And it's a major tourist attraction. Now, the area we're going to be visiting is down here. The actual peak over there has got some radio antennas, and so you can go hiking there. But you know, usually when we talk about the peak in Hong Kong, we're talking about this viewing area on the right hand side. Hi Lethargy. So today is a beautiful day, and from this viewpoint we can look out at some of the outlying islands in Hong Kong. So I'm just going to zoom in quickly. So there, if you can see, that's an island with those 3 towers sticking out. That's Llama Island, and those 3 towers come from a power station that's situated on Llama. Llama's a great island. They've got 2 ferries that you can go on. They go to each side of the island, and there's a beautiful flat walk that you can do from one side to the next. So a great way day trip out of Hong Kong is to go to Llama Island. And then straight ahead, and I'll zoom in again, we've got such a beautiful day today. That is Cheung Chau. Now, Cheung Chau is the island I took you to last month. One of my favorite islands in Hong Kong. It's shaped like a dumbbell, and it's got a pirate cave, hiking on the one side. You can cycle around, there's no cars allowed on Cheung Chau, and some great local food, as well as a yearly bun festival where the locals have to climb a bun tower to see how many buns they can collect in a specific amount of time. Now, the most expensive property in Hong Kong is found right here. Those apartments you see below us are in an area called Repulse Bay and Deepwater Bay, and those are some of the most expensive places to buy property in the whole of Hong Kong, as well as if I just turn here, these are properties on the Peak also. It's the most expensive properties in Hong Kong, these two areas we see in front of us. But we're really blessed today. Tomorrow we're going to have storms, and the whole of this week it's been very stormy and the weather's been horrible, but we were really lucky today to have a perfectly clear day. We couldn't have asked for a better day. There you can see Mount Alston, the tallest part of Hong Kong Island. So let's take a walk. We're gonna, hey Dahlia, let's take a walk. We're gonna go to the viewing point. This is the reason why people come to the Peak, is for this view. Now, on the Peak, it's home to lots of animals and many birds and butterflies. And if you come during the early hours or the late hours, you're quite likely to see maybe some porcupines or even wild boars, along with a variety of snakes. So, really, lots of wildlife on this mountain. There's some beautiful hikes. In fact, if you wanted to, you could hike here to the Peak. And my recommended route would be to take the escalators from Central, because that takes you already half the way, and then just walk the rest of the way. Or if you're like me, you can take the bus or the tram, and I'll be telling you about that tram in a second. This is another viewpoint. It's called the let me just tell you about the hiking. Let's go and admire the view quickly. Wow, we are so lucky today. Now this is very unusual for Hong Kong. There's almost no one here. And we have this view almost pretty much to ourselves. Yeah, Tina, the streaming app that I use doesn't allow me to, I'm still trying to figure out how to link to my original stream. I may have to switch, I'm not using Streamlabs, I may just switch to Streamlabs. Yeah, I'm still trying to work that out. I may just switch to Streamlabs next week or tomorrow. Okay. So the Peak has always been a place that has attracted people for these stunning views. We are now overlooking Hong Kong, Victoria Harbour, and then Kowloon across the water. And in the 19th century, the Peak attracted prominent European residents because of its panoramic views over the city. I mean, isn't that exquisite. Now you can imagine in the 19th century we didn't have all these skyscrapers like it is today, but it really is spectacular and a really beautiful day. And also the great thing about the peak is the temperature. So Hong Kong right now, it's summer, it's very hot, but because the peak is located 500 meters above sea level, it's slightly cooler than the surrounding areas lower down. And so that's why people like to have their summer residences here at the peak, because you wouldn't have the heat that you would have down below. Now originally, if you were a resident here that lived on the peak, you would be pretty prominent or famous or really rich, and you would get literally people bring you up on a chair. But in 1888 they started the tram system, and that was to boost accessibility and to the peak. And it opened in 1888, and just by building the tram, and you can see it below there, that created amazing demand for people to come live here at the peak, because all of a sudden it was accessible. You didn't need to be carried up and down, and so that opened in 1888. And so between 1904 and 1930, the peak area was designated as a exclusive residential area. And so if you lived on the peak, you could take the tram up and down. And today, the peak remains one of the most expensive residential areas in Hong Kong. Now the peak is owned and operated by the Hong Kong Shanghai hotels, and that's a hotel, and it's a hotel with a lot of history. They own a hotel with a lot of history. It's the Peninsula Hotel in TST. So just across the water is TST, and that's where you're going to find the Peninsula Hotel. And it's just, if you can see the cultural center, which is that funny shaped building, it's just behind there. And so the owners of the Peninsula Hotel also today own the tram below us over there. Now, last year they made major renovations to the tram. Now the tram, of course, has been running since 1888, and so it's gone through many changes, and they did a major upgrade in 2022. And the government invested more than 700 million Hong Kong dollars, which ended up being about 799 million Hong Kong dollars. That's about 8.7 million pounds. And the peak tram was closed for 14 months, and then it reopened last year in August on the 27th, 2022. So let's take a walk now. I'm going to show you some of the tourist attractions you can find here. Now, for those who's just joined, I just want to give you a beautiful view over the other side. So we've just looked over the more built-up side, but here you can see the south of Hong Kong Island. It's just much more green. And if you can see where that block of flats is, just behind it is the tallest peak on Hong Kong Island, Mount Austin, standing at about 552 meters, or about 1,800 feet. Now this is the premier tourist destination in Hong Kong, and so we've got some exclusive attractions that you can't find anywhere else. One of them being the Hong Kong Monopoly Museum, which we're going to walk through on our way down. Here it is. This is the first and right now the only Monopoly museum in the world. And it's a really fun and unique place to visit. And of course, all the monopolies around the world are uniquely adapted to the countries where they are played, and so this one is adapted for Hong Kong. And no surprise, the most expensive property in Monopoly is the Peak, where we are now. The dark blue. Yeah. So let's continue. So this is the entrance. If you want to come to the Monopoly Dreams Museum, this is where you're going to come. We came here on Hago. Now I'm hoping to come again. So it's still very early in Hong Kong. It's just past 9 o'clock. And so Monopoly Dreams, the museum, is still closed. But if it was open, we would go through those doors. So we're now in a mall called the Peak Galleria, and I'm just going to turn around, and there you can see the Monopoly Dream sign. That's a great postcard moment. So when you usually you'll take the escalator up to the museum, and that's the first sight that greets you. So here in the Peak Galleria Mall, there's lots of shops that have been designed to look like different things. This one is meant to look like a train, like a green train, and they're really creative. And this one has the most exquisite view outside, and has a very local thing, which is this metal plating, which is used for businesses when they shut for the day. You'll see a lot of this beautifully decorated gating. And here we've got some typical Hong Kong food, some dim sum. Over here, these look like barbecue pork buns, and more delicious food. This is also a very typical sight to see at any of the butcheries here. You've got your roast goose, and then below you've got some chow su, which is like a type of barbecue pork, and some chicken, and then some duck on the other side. These are all things you're going to see a lot of when you're walking around Hong Kong. Okay, we're going to go take the last escalator, exit the Galleria Mall, and then I'm going to take you to the next mall, which has one of the other big tourist attractions, and that is the Madame Tussauds. Now, Madame Tussauds that was built here was the first Madame Tussauds that was built in Asia. Now there's many of them, but the one in Hong Kong was the very first. Now, I want to point out this little building that we're coming to on the left hand side before we go in the mall. So there are several restaurants. In fact, so there's several restaurants here in the at the Peak. And in fact, the Peak has the only Burger King in the whole of Hong Kong. There it is. And it's like never open. But one of the nicest restaurants is the Peak Lookout on our left hand side here. And the Peak Lookout has a really interesting history because it's one of the older, more traditional buildings, and it was originally a spacious house for the engineers who worked on the tramway. And they've lovingly kept it up and restored it, and it's got beautiful views. You can sit, have your coffee, and get beautiful views from the Peak Lookout. So I like Hong Kong because it's the old with the new. You have the contrast of these brand new shopping centres and state-of-the-art buildings, but then you also have beautiful old buildings that are restored and kept up really nicely. So Neil's asking why is it not open, and that's because in Hong Kong everything usually opens at 10 a.m. and I'm here at 9 a.m. Even Burger King will open later. Now this is a local Hong Kong favorite. It's called an egg waffle, and you want it, when you order these, you want to have them hot. Now the normal way to have them is just a plain one with nothing on it, and you want to eat it hot. But then there's the Western way to, so this is your original Hong Kong egglet, that's the way we would eat it. But if you want a Western twist on the egglet, you would put some ice cream and cream inside, and use the egglet like a ice cream cone. And so this restaurant has some old TVs displaying one of Hong Kong's most famous exports, Bruce Lee. Yes, I always, now because it's summer, I always go to, I do tours really early because it just gets really, really hot. So if it's indoors, I always try to do them as early as possible. So we're going down now to Madame Tussauds. So here it is. Here's Madame Tussauds. Now the Hong Kong branch houses nearly 100 wax figures of internationally known personalities, one of which you're going to get a nice close-up of right now, Benedict Cumberbatch. But more than 1/3 of the total figures are from Asia, and 16 of those are Hong Kongers. And if you come with me before, you would know you'd have seen the different themes. So they've got different themes such as Hong Kong glamour, music icons, historical national heroes, champions, and something called world premiere. And so this is a Hong Kong celebrity, but to be honest, I actually don't know who he is. So Dahlia says nothing works for the 24/7. You know they say New York is a city that never sleeps. Well, Hong Kong is the city that sleeps. But Hong Kongers tend to stay up really late, and Hong Kongers tend to stay up really late and then wake up really late, and so what you end up finding is that everything opens really late. This Pacific Coffee has one of the best views in Hong Kong. So I'm just going to show you the entrance to the Peak Tram, and then we're going to go to my favorite hidden spot. There it is. That's the Peak Tram. I'm going to be doing a separate tour just about the Peak Tram because it deserves its own story. And they've just redone it so nicely. Yes, so a lot of, Tina says she's noticed that there are a lot of dogs in the area. And so a lot of people that you'll see with dogs, a lot of them would have come hiking up the peak this morning. And great exercise for the dogs. I mean, most people have really small apartments and you want to get your dogs need a walk, and so being able to go outside, walk around, it's great exercise for them. So you'll see a lot of people with dogs, and some people have have dogs that oh man, we are so lucky. We couldn't have asked for a better day. Here comes the Peak Tram. That was very lucky timing. Yeah, we couldn't have asked for a better day today. Beautiful, clear day. There's actually a giant, I don't know if you saw when we were walking to the viewpoints on top of the Peak Galleria, but there's a giant dog water bowl. And so here we've got a sign of all the places you can go. We're going to head to the Lions Pavilion lookout. I don't know why I seem to be cursed, but my gimbal has died. So that's why I'm holding my phone. Last time my gimbal got covered in water, and then this time my gimbal died. So yeah, so there's a little bit of a shake. You know what I'm gonna do? If you just bear with me just for a second, I can hold it better if I just hold it in my hand. So just give me a second. Okay, this is going to be better. Okay, so this is the final place I wanted to show you here at the peak. It's the Lions Club of Tai Ping Shan. They've created a number of these pavilions all over Hong Kong, and they're beautiful viewpoints to see the city. Now this one's quite hidden away, and usually people don't come to this, so it's quite quiet, quite hidden away, but it's it's a great way to get spectacular views, and it's free. So when I do the peak tram story, we'll go up to the terrace 428. The 428 stands for 428 meters above sea level, and we'll do a separate story about that with the tram. Now, over the past few days in Hong Kong, there's been over the Philippines they developed a tropical cyclone, and so the weather has been raining, extremely hot and humid. And then today, we're really lucky where there's like a break in that bad weather, and it's just the best day ever. And then tomorrow it's going to be bad again. I'm going to go down now, just one level, give you another viewpoint. And this is why people come to the peak, for this unbelievable view. It's just like breathtaking, and it's just, you can't really find this anywhere else in the world. We're so densely packed with this huge mountain, and the water is just amazing. Having a look at Big Buddha, I don't think it will be clear today. Just having a look at the clouds in the direction of Lantau Island. So I'm just hoping with all my tours this month that the weather plays along. That's why I switched. This tour was going to happen tomorrow, and then when I saw that it was storming tomorrow, I just did a switcheroo, and I've got a tour, an indoor tour tomorrow. Yeah, so that's everything that I wanted to show you today at the peak. We've got the Monopoly Museum, the first Madame Tussauds in Asia, this stunning view, and of course the peak tram. And definitely, if you're coming to Hong Kong, this is the place you have to come. Very, very, very accessible. You can take a bus number 15 here, you can take the train here, you can take a taxi up here, or you can hike up here. And if you're going to go hiking, my recommendation, as someone that really doesn't like the heat, is that go hiking in winter. It gets incredibly hot here in the summer, so it'll be it's a very pleasant hike in winter. Yeah. So, and thank you for sharing those, Neil. Those are our next tours. We've got a lot of really fun tours coming up. And I'm really excited to take you to some really unique and special places. I'm going to what I've been doing with my tours is I download them and then edit them down, because I've noticed when you're watching live, you maybe watch a bit longer, but when you watch on YouTube, you want something that's shorter. So I usually just cut down my tours a little bit. So I'll be posting a shortened version of this tour later today for those who can make the time slot. So there you have it. The Peak Hong Kong with the most exquisite view, and we're just so lucky to be able to visit it today when it's so clear, when literally the whole week it's been storming, and so to have a day like today, that's a lot of luck during the rainy season. So thank you for joining me, and I do need to work on. I've got some problem with when I go live with the software I'm using, where it won't let me connect to YouTube unless I don't use the scheduled tour link. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm going to ask some of the other guides. So hopefully I can get that working, so you don't miss out on any of these tours. But if you do, then don't worry, because I will be posting those tours up afterwards. And if you want a little sneak peek into the what to expect at the Transformers restaurant, then I've made a special short where you can check that out. Now when we go there, I'm going to be ordering some very unique food, and I'm excited to try it for the first time and sit down and really, it's an experience going to that restaurant, a really immersive experience. So thank you for joining me today, and I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be trying one of the cheapest Michelin star restaurant in the world, and I went and checked it out yesterday, the branch that we're going to go to, and it's really, really nice, and that's going to be tomorrow. And then over the next couple of days, lots of cool new tours coming up that I've never done before. So thank you so much for joining me, and please sign up to Buy Me a Coffee. I send out a monthly email with all the tours that I do, so if you want to keep track, if you want to support what I'm doing, you can do that through Buy Me a Coffee too. And just thank you for tuning in, really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed the Peak and the place to come in Hong Kong. So from me in Hong Kong at the Peak, hope you have an amazing weekend. Carry on exploring and adventuring, and I'll see you soon.